Let's ring up Christopher Browell again. Let's see.
This is the Vodafone voicemail service for 07762471196. Please leave a message after the tone. When you finish recording, please hang up or press the hash key for more options.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Browell. It's Mr. Hussein here. Once again, leaving you another voice message, as I've been doing continuously for over a month now. Today is Monday, the 2nd of October, 2023, and the time is around about midday. And I continue to leave yourself messages because you are refusing, as the local authority, are refusing to engage with me after having unlawfully abducted my brother. When I last spoke to somebody more senior, because as you know, we've had numerous conversations where you've explained to me that you're really not in a position to do anything because you're not in a seniority role and you're not the decision maker. And I know that to be the case. You're simply the mouthpiece and foot soldier of the decision makers. And hence some of the problems that we've consistently had in our communications in the past. Even though you're a social worker and you should be able to influence the decision makers, you're effectively not. You're not able to make any influence on the decision makers. You're not even able to get my brother some balance of how much money the local authority had unlawfully accumulated. And so therefore our original arrangements was where I would basically tell you what's going on and you would relay that information and very sparingly relay any information back to me. When I last did speak to Mr. Muller at the start of August, I managed to speak to him quite directly, as you may or may not know, because I've published the call recording, and he had advised me, as many people do, oh, put it in writing, like that's an accepted standard for me to follow as a civilian, whereas as a standard that is set for yourselves as professionals to put things in writing. You refuse to do so. You refuse to put things in writings as professionals, and yet to twist and turn the tables upon me to put things in writing. And you, as you know, I'm quite capable and competent to put things in writing, as well as being able to articulate myself orally on the telephone, which is obviously my preferred method of communication now, as you know, because I record everything. The justification of telling me to put things in writing is because, then there'll be a permanent record and there can be no disputing things after the event. But of course, documents can be doctored and manipulated and stuff, whereas call recordings cannot. And I note the fact that you refused to, as professionals, to provide me with any written correspondence. The last time we were having a conversation, I believe in June or May, June time, you were explaining to me that the seniorities solicitors had asked you to write in, send us a letter making a proposal of how the funds are supposed to be dissipated. When I spoke to Mr. Muller at the start of August, he told me to put things in writing. You've not wrote anything out to us, because this is one of the things that you've done. You don't want to have an evidential-based record of our communications, hence why you have instructed the GP practice to remove all my emails. You've refused to respond to any of my emails, refused to write any records, refused to write anything to me, so there's a record kept. So that is the case, isn't it? You've not written out to us. You've only entertained conversations with myself, ringing you up, having to go through the city mental health team switchboard, and then listening to me for an hour or so, an hour or two at a time, every fortnight, which was in your best interest, as you were monitoring the situation from a distance, hoping that the situation would deteriorate, considering that you had sabotaged the relationship with the GP practices and we were not receiving any medication. You were hoping that the lack of medication would cause a crisis and a deterioration, which then would justify your actions. That never happened. And I never took the money from you, because obviously I was concerned that you're looking to entrap me, as you have been doing to me on many previous occasions. So with all these failures in place, you organized a sting operation to abduct my brother on the 8th of August, and you're not giving me any legal justification. You know you can't do any of this stuff. And now what you're going to have to do is now you're going to have to retrospectively get a judge, one of your own judges, buy off another judge in order to justify the clear deprivation of liberty that my brother's been suffering under. How can this be in my brother's health and well-being best interest, where you're depriving him of a contact with his own brother, his own carer, his legal guardian, his everything, his family? How can that exactly be in his best interest, when the reality is that you have abducted him because of financial constraints and financial reasons, because I'm charging you so much money for the care that I was providing you with, and now you're looking to deprive us, and now you're refusing to even speak to me or respond to any of my emails. You're fully included in all the emails that I'm sending. This is a city mental health team or Bradford Council enterprise in order to cause harm and suffering at the expense of the patients and that you have a duty of care to. How can this possibly be in my brother's best interest, where you've abducted him in urine-soaked clothes from the vehicle in my car and are now holding him hostage like this without providing us with any contact, so we can even give him his clothes? He's got absolutely no property access to any property rights or anything. You just want him now to be classed as a dumb object which you have now taken as your possession, because you've got over 120,000 pounds of his benefit money that you've been accumulating for
15 seconds recording time remaining.
Yeah, you've accumulated all his benefit money, the very crime that you convicted me of, that you the local authority are doing, and now refusing to engage with me. I'll continue to leave these messages. I'm continuing to record them and publicize them, because you're causing us harm, alarm, and distress, and abusing your authority and position by causing.
Sorry, your recording time has expired.
Yeah.
To leave your message, press 1. To review, message sent. Thank you for calling.
So they're quite happy for me to send recordings to them, because ultimately all the recordings is evidence, isn't it? So if I start threatening them, if I say I'm going to kill you, I'm going to murder you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, mouth off, as many other people that get emotional would do so under these present circumstances and situation, then they've got evidence, you see. Then they've got that evidence to say, you were threatening and abusing professionals, you were threatening to murder them and being aggressive and abusive, and therefore that justifies why we were not taking your call. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of being able to have evidence built up against me by their neglect and their negligence and their inability to respond. So basically what they want to do is they want to do a brutal move, such as attacking me, and then while I'm reaping the consequences, they're just going to sit back and watch like vultures. And that's the normal modus operandi, how they operate. Every day I'm leaving a message. It's 56 days later that absolutely no idea what my brother is. Any normal person, never mind somebody with mental health problems, as my brother, any normal person would be freaking out right now, being put into a situation where he's got no contact with his own family, no contact with the outside world. They're providing him with care and support services without any oversight or any independence. Any independence that they're alleging, such as independent mental capacity assessors and AMCAR and what the legislation allows, like independent, those are paid professionals too, and they buy everybody off. So if they have the ability to buy professionals off, such as barristers and solicitors and my judges and everybody else, do you think they don't have the ability to use public money or my brother's benefit money in order to buy off professional independent people? No, there is nobody independent can be in this situation other than my involvement, where I'm in a position to ensure that my brother is receiving the right and appropriate care support services, or is nothing untoward is happening, and where most importantly my brother's rights are being protected. The fundamental right is the right to refuse. That's being denied to him. He no longer has a right to refuse. He's being forced into this situation against his freedom and liberty, in clear deprivation of his freedom of liberty. He no longer has a right to refuse. I can articulate that right to refuse. I can say, no, he doesn't want this. I can ask him. They can't even speak to him. So that's the first thing. They're denying him a right to refuse. And secondly, in order to provide legitimate services, any kind of organization under the Consumer Rights Act, that we need to have a right to complain. All right, that's enshrined in the. If it's legitimate, it has to be under the Consumer Rights Act, compliant to the Consumer Rights Act. If they're providing a service to my brother and he has no right to complain, then it's not a legitimate service, and that's presently what's happening. They are making fundamental decisions regarding my brother's health and welfare and finances according to what they claim is to be in my brother's best interest, when in reality they're financially profiteering and it's in their best interest. So this is quite clearly, there's no law, there's no legal framework they're working under. All they're doing is acting tyrannically, buying off everybody. They bought off the police to come and arrest me from my home. They bought off the police to come and abduct my brother. They're now paying off the police to remain silent, and continually every single day is just simply psychologically torture from both me and my brother, whom they are meant to be providing social care services to. You can take your social care services and stick them where the sun don't shine, because you're not in a position to provide social care services. You're not in a position to provide healthcare services because the money's run out, and now all you're looking to do is cannibalize the public population of the public and the civilians that you're meant to be providing a duty of care to. And that's the reality of the situation. You're professing to be providing support services to people that you have a legal duty of care to, which you have wrote down, or which justifies you getting the money from the public purse. But then in reality, you're not doing that. You're actually utilizing your position of power and authority to commit acts of tyranny and aggression and persecution and oppression, and then guising under the guise of acting benevolently as a local authority, as a cash-strapped local authority, just trying to do their best under difficult circumstances. No, the reality is that you're not trying to do your best. You're trying to effectively cause us harm and suffering through your racist, Islamophobic, xenophobic agenda and narrative, all under the guise of simply doing your job, while at the same time interfering. How would anybody feel being abducted in an alien environment without anybody to be able to communicate with them, being drugged up, being not being given access to their own family members? All right, and they're saying that this is the well-being. This is not anybody else's well-being would deteriorate. My own well-being is deteriorating out of worry and anxiety and distress of not knowing where my brother is. And how do you think my brother, who has underlying mental health problems, is going to be feeling? How do you think my sister in Oldham is feeling due to the persecution and oppression we're going under? This is simply ridiculous. And you see, they think they're being very clever by not having a record of it, and I'm equally being very clever and keeping my own records of it and publicizing it so the whole world can listen in to this a complete debauchery of a situation, and malfeasance of practices and abuses of power and authority, simply because they can't do their jobs properly, and I'm holding them to account to what they say. So they would rather write beautifully shiny, colorful reports that justify their actions, and when I'm asking them, I'm pulling them up on it and holding them to account, because every citizen has a right to hold their governments to account, or the authorities to account, that purportedly act in their best interest or in their name. Then when I'm holding them to account, what they're doing is they're all closing ranks and targeting and victimizing me personally, and looking to oppress me by threatening me and intimidating me and gaslighting me, so that they can continue to be in that position of authority and power over me, with threats and fears and intimidation, that if I continue down this trajectory, they're going to teach me a lesson. They're trying to teach me a lesson. I haven't paid to go to university or paid to get lessons. I haven't paid them to teach me lessons, but they insist on teaching me lessons which is to their interest. And this is the element of racism and Islamophobia and xenophobia. You have no right to teach me lessons. You have a right to do your jobs, what you're paid to do, but you don't want to do that. You want to use your position of power and authority to teach me a lesson. Teach me a lesson, boy. No doubt they want to call me a boy, because they're going to try to teach me a lesson, boy. No doubt they would like to lynch me, boy, to teach me a lesson. Absolutely horrendous and ridiculous. Look at them all trying to avoid the situation now. 56 days later, we're dying of worry and distress, and then they play on that. They go, oh well, he's going to be worried and distressed, he might get violent and aggressive, let's just put a safeguarding alert in. This is what they've done previously. They're realizing what's going to happen. They're anticipating what any normal person would be reacting, and they're making contingency plans to a future reaction that I've not even reacted with. He's going to be aggressive and abusive, because they know that they would be angry and abusive at this stage. But I'm remaining cool, calm, and collected. I'm simply leaving them a message every day, recording what I'm doing, uploading it to the internet, publishing it to the world, keeping a permanent record of everything that's happening to me, so it doesn't disappear. And what they're then going to do is they're going to get buy off the judges, get court orders and injunctions to have me remove all the video recordings online, so they can continue to, it's just the amount of length of time and resources that they are spending in their malevolent enterprise. If they had simply done what they're supposed to be doing, they would not end up spending so much resources in simply doing their job properly. But rather than that, like any truly criminal and tyrannical organization, what they want to do is they want to have the cake and eat it, and they're trying to do things effectively against the laws, against criminality, and hoping to get away with it. And now it's costing them so much. It's going to cost them much more than what time and resources that they're putting away now. So let me just end it here. But yeah, just another day of being just fobbed around by Mr. Christopher Browell of Bradford Council, as acting as their mouthpiece and for being fronted by them, when in reality it's Mark Trewin who the government wants to make whom the government was looking to make a knight of the realm because of the services that he's done as a senior social worker England. So it's Mark Trewin who's behind all this, in collaboration with the numerous high court judges and justices and everybody else that's conspiring together in order to target and victimize and vilify me and oppress my family members, my vulnerable family members, the three of whom have now been murdered by the council, and the fourth one they're now holding in their unlawful care and custody, no doubt looking to prematurely end his life. Absolutely horrendous, absolutely ridiculous, absolutely depressing and appalling and diabolical of them. But I must continue.